Greg's on the radio. He's on the radio. It's a party. Greg's radio show. Get ready to go. 'Cause la she says so. Party. Greg's radio show. Get ready to go. 'Cause la she says so. Greg's radio show.
Hey, folks, you are tuned in to Greg's radio show, where we play the music you want to hear and we connect you with the people that you want to talk to. And by my ever-expanding Twitter account, we can just about tell that you guys really wanted to talk to our two guests today. How are you, Ms. La? How are you?
I'm doing good today, Greg.
Are you doing good, girl?
Yes, and let's just let everybody know before we get into our guest for today that you can call in at any time at 818-570-5443.
So you just pick up that phone and you dial that number.
818-570-5443.
And you can talk to Scott and Michelle. Okay. Our guest today starred in one of the best shows to ever, in my opinion, grace the television. Mm-hmm. This show shattered barriers and pushed through boundaries with its relevant storylines, heart, and, of course, sex.
Ooh, we like sex.
Ooh, and lots of it. but it never would have been done if it weren't for these amazing actors, whom in some cases weren't even gay. Mm-hmm.
Weren't? I got that. I'm sitting right next to you.
Well, aren't gay.
Who aren't gay.
The show that I'm speaking of is Queer as Folk. And we have Michelle Clunie and Scott Lowell. Woo! Hey, how are you guys?
Welcome.
How
Thank
are you? How are
we're
you?
doing great. Michelle has notes, so she's all prepared. I don't know. She brought notes. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Do
I have notes,
Do you need a Sharpie, girl?
She's got an agenda. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what's coming because Michelle has notes, everybody.
Greg always has a list of things I can't say or can't do, so I have notes too.
Wow.
I have notes too.
Wait, people.
There's a reason.
Let me tell you, the FCC would shut us down if I let her go.
Oh, let her go. Let the FCC shut you down.
I have a filter. It's
We
over
have
the
a
mic.
10-minute news cycle nowadays anyway.
Exactly.
People will talk about it for 10 minutes.
Last person she went through it with was Kiki Wyatt. She told
Kiki Wyatt
from R&B Divas.
Oh.
And she had a nice little tangent on this girl. And I actually invited her to the show.
I was sweet as pie.
We're not as shy. You're okay with it.
You're fine with us. You can't.
Based on what you guys were talking about even before we went on the air.
Before Scott looked at my notes and I went into an enormous
and put you on blast.
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to see.
Today, and I just made a few little notes for myself.
Right.
Jeez,
Okay.
I'm a list maker.
So, how did Queer as Folk come to you? Michelle first.
Oh gosh. Okay. My agent called me and she said, I have this script. I don't know. It's really risque. Blah blah blah. And I said, awesome. Send it to me. This pilot. And I sat on my couch that I was about to sell for like $50 so I could pay my rent. Literally, it's like the last time I ever sat on that couch was reading Queer as Folk. And I sat on the couch and I had two other actresses living with me. We were all totally broke. And it was an awesome place though. It was actually right around the corner from here, up Ivar.
Did you reminisce?
The next street over.
Yeah, that historic building, the one that was in Sunset Boulevard. Awesome place that looked out over Hollywood, and it was just like this girl house, and we all had a lot of fun. Everyone was like breaking up their boyfriends and trying to get pilots and crazy actresses. And so I'm on the couch reading Queer as Folk, and it was like page, what was it? I don't know, it was like page halfway through the pilot. Melanie said something about I don't care what men think about their dicks. I went into my Melanie voice. You like that? Slipped right into that character, baby.
You did.
Ms. La, you got so excited.
I did.
And that's how it came to me. And I read it and I was like, this isn't risque. This is awesome. It's like, she's a woman who wants to have a career and raise a family. I totally relate. Mm-hmm. And I didn't, I just thought whatever, the fact that they were gay characters just added an interesting layer. But I liked that they were characters in a group of friends who hung on to each other as family, which is really beautiful and what happens in life. And so I was totally in from the very beginning, and that's how it came to me.
And you, Scott, how did it happen to you?
I was also living with 3 girls.
What is this, Three's Company?
Totally broke. It's so funny. It's the same story, really.
Oh my God.
You know, no, I mean, I got. I'll tell you, I got the script and the appointment from my agents, and I had 2 appointments the same day. One, so and you get them like the night before at 7 p.m. So like right around now, we would get a script and find out, oh, you have an audition tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
And they give you the entire script to read. And so I got a script for Queer as Folk, and I got a script for some movie about firemen.
Okay.
And I said,
Very similar
in
theme.
I've got, both hot. But I kind of waited out. I was like, I've got a limited amount of time here to read a script and then learn auditions. And I kind of, I took a quick glance. And, and Ted originally was described as being chubby and balding in the description for the thing. But I kind of felt like, you know what, I stand a better chance at chubby and balding than I do getting cast as a fireman. So I didn't read the fireman movie, and I read Queer as Folk, and I was just so, shocked. I just kept thinking, they're not going to put this on TV. I mean, this is crazy. But I just, the character drew me in even more than the whole thing, and I felt like I understood him. I felt something very universal in the character, and I felt like, all right, well, I may not be chubby and balding, but I feel like I'm chubby and balding inside sometimes.
You had an inner chubby and balding man inside you.
Yes. Wow. That sounds. Don't put together.
Did you know that would be
inner chubby and man inside me does not. Yeah.
You got an inner chub.
But anyway, so that's how it came to me. And then, I went to the audition, and fortunately, they didn't have a really clear idea of what they wanted for the character. So
didn't they want sad? Like someone who's
they just wanted sad. Well, that's what Jerry Off said. The president of Showtime later said to me, because I was the only one they tested for the role. They usually will, bring 2 or 3 actors in, to give the executives at a network some choice. And for whatever reason, I was the only one they brought in. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Offset was very upset with this. And he told me about this later. He's like, I didn't like being strong-armed, but you walked into that room and, man, if you just weren't the perfect sad sack, which he meant as a compliment, I know.
Absolutely.
Bless his soul, but,
in a very sweet, sexy way.
Well,
a very sad, sweet, sexy sack.
Unlike what we normally do, we're going to be taking calls throughout this conversation because we want to get as many people in as possible. And so we have a caller on line 1. Caller, come in. You have a question for Scott and Michelle?
Can I just say hi first?
You want to say hi?
Are these the girls from Michelle's apartment having a slumber party?
They're still there.
Still there?
Yeah, they bought the
we
couch
haven't
back.
sold the couch yet.
Ladies, come in. Yes, we're here.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, okay. Hi. This is Michelle.
Totally, yeah. This is me. Yeah. I sounded so Canadian, right? I slipped right into my Canadian.
That's really good.
And my yeah. No, it's me. It's me.
Okay. I didn't know you were going to be here. I knew that Scott Lowell was going to be here.
Scott Lowell.
Because this is like my favorite show, and I'm going to cry. Oh my god.
Oh, don't cry.
Don't cry. First of all, we won't be able to see you crying, so it won't
really. It's your favorite show, though.
Well,
oh, that's so sweet.
What's going on? Where are you? Who are you? And where are you calling from? First time caller.
I'm very good caller, and I actually tweeted you, and I was the one that tweeted you, and I said that I called, and I called too early.
What's your name?
I don't know if you remember tweeting.
Oh, you were like a week ago saying, "Oh my God, I stayed up all night and I called and nobody was there because it was a week early." That's you?
That's me.
That's her.
I hope you got some sleep in the meantime.
Yes.
Pardon?
I hope you got some sleep in the meantime.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. My name's Melissa Fuller, and I'm from Canada, and I'm from Regina, Saskatchewan.
Oh, Regina.
Oh, Regina. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I slipped right into character when this happened.
The same thing.
Ms. Law and I went right to Regina.
We literally
so
looked
sorry.
at each other like, Regina.
Do you hunt bear?
That's so
No,
stereotypical,
it's
Scott
pretty
Lowell.
like here. I'm a city girl.
Oh, you're a city
She's
girl?
a city
Regina?
girl.
Well, we had a woman who worked on our show who was from Saskatchewan, and she hunted bear
She did
with,
hunt
with a
bears
bow and
on
arrow.
the weekend.
Was she
yeah.
a lesbian?
Yeah, we don't know.
She never
Oh.
came out and said it.
What would you like to ask us from Regina?
Oh goodness, I didn't know I had to think of a
Oh, you don't
No,
have
you
to.
don't have to think of a
You don't-
question.
you
No
don't.
pressure.
Is there something you'd like us
Did
to
you
tell
just
you?
want to say hi?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to say that the show is amazing, and
Aw.
it's like such an inspiring show. And
Aw.
my mom used to watch it because I'm only 19, so she watched it when I was
Oh.
younger, and I knew of it, but not really.
But you didn't watch it until
What
you're
it was?
18, is what you're saying, right? Right.
Well, I went on showcase.com or .ca, and I just decided to start watching it in grade 10.
Oh, of course.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Well, we-
Sophomore.
I loved
moment.
it.
Oh, good. Well, they're like Canada was. Remember, we used to have like 14-year-olds would come out to set to
That-
visit because we were on basic cable up there because
Yeah,
they have a
yeah.
much more permissive.
And also, when you
attitude
think
about
about
that
it,
stuff.
you know, like, look, if you know you're gay when you're 6 years old and there's really no characters on TV that you can watch, it's like, you know, look, some moms, I think they would edit out the sex and let their children watch the shows. And it was really sweet. It was a sweet.
But the sex is a
Thing to
great
do.
part.
Yeah, it's the hot
Right,
juicy
yeah.
part.
It is.
But it's all the more
I enjoy
reason
it.
to do the Lil Queer as Folk cartoon Saturday morning cartoon show we're thinking of doing too.
Oh, dear,
I
stop.
think
Are we
we
going to
should-
do that?
We should really get the 5 and
The little
6 year olds.
queers.
Kind of like the Little
Teddy,
Rascals?
Mike,
Yeah.
like Little
Teddy,
Rascals.
That's
Michael,
great.
Mikey, and Emmett.
Yeah, exactly.
So do
You know,
that.
like
Would
they
you
had-
watch that?
like-
Wait, we got to ask her. Would you watch that if we did a cartoon?
Me?
Yeah. Or is that a crazy idea?
Oh.
Is that nuts?
Well, if I would probably be like, what is this if I didn't know what Queer as Folk was? But if it was weird enough,
But if
and
we
it
were
was like about sex and gay people, I think it'd be cool because like they don't have a lot of cartoons like that. So it was weird enough, yeah.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Totally.
We should take it to
all right, well
The
we'll
little
work on it.
queers
talk to
Little
Seth
queers.
soon.
MacFarlane about it.
Like when they did those little Muppets, you know, they had the
Thank
little
you,
Muppets.
caller. Thank you,
Thank
caller,
you.
Hey,
so much.
thank you for being our
Thank
caller,
you
our
so
first
much.
caller.
Thanks for calling 2 weeks in a row.
And give my love to
Yes.
Canada. I miss it.
Okay,
Thank
so
you. I just want to say one more thing.
Yes,
go
go ahead.
Yes.
I actually, so I have all the seasons, and I have a big Queer as Folk poster in my room, and I actually wrote a Queer as Folk fan fiction piece in grade 11, and my teacher
Wow.
told me it was inappropriate.
Well, I'm sure it was very talented.
But how was your grammar?
Yeah.
It's decent. I don't really have good spelling, but
You know,
it was
Woody
really
Allen's
sort of,
grammar
like, I felt
sucks.
like
Grammar has
I could
nothing to
write
do
for
with
you
art.
guys, like,
it doesn't, not at all.
Well, I'm proud of you. Okay.
and one more.
Yeah?
Thank you. And I actually haven't seen the last episode yet. I've been holding off because I
Oh
don't
my
want the show
God.
to end.
Oh.
You got to watch it.
Yeah,
Oh, that
you do.
episode's
I don't
amazing.
even remember what happened.
I
so
hate
I
it.
remember what
You can
happened.
tell me.
Oh, I hated it.
Did you hate it?
I hated it.
Oh my
I
God.
have one more
Let's not
question
tell
actually.
her.
Say that
Let's-
now.
Let's let her wait. and
Oh,
Well,
I
don't
heard
spoil
I'm not
it
gonna
for her.
spoil it.
It's a
I'm not gonna
lovely
spoil it.
episode.
I'm not going to spoil it. I was.
It was a very emotional episode
Well,
to
Well,
shoot.
thank
It
you
was
so
very
much
nice.
for calling, and keep watching Queer as Folk.
I was hurt.
Oh, you're
Yes,
hurt.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you for calling from so
Thank
far
you.
away.
Thank you for
Thank you for
thank you for
calling.
calling.
Okay. Now, next question.
Okie dokie.
How did you feel about playing the role of a homosexual?
I looked at Ms. Locke.
What?
I did.
All eyes are on Michelle.
No, everyone's looking at me. I didn't think twice about it. I thought it was awesome.
How'd you feel about the sex scenes?
It was totally fine. I mean, God, I wish I was more like I had more, you know, it was so difficult. But it just was. Scott, stop. You're making me
Well,
laugh.
I mean, Scott found himself on his back a lot in the show.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
Well, I did. I mean, there were
Yeah.
obviously odd parts of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were things that were just odd. But sex scenes, when you shoot them, are odd. Doesn't matter. And in fact, in ways, because it was another woman and it was Taya, and we had so much trust when we first met, it was just like immediate trust. And we practiced kissing before we got on the set. And you know, she came over to my hotel room and we had tea and cookies and
And,
and we practiced kissing.
And
we
more than
practiced
that.
kissing.
and
And then I said, okay, tomorrow I'm going to put my hand on your boob. So I'm going to do this, and let's just go by the numbers. And I put my hand on her boob through her sweater, and she's like, I'm totally cool with that. I said, okay, we're going to rock tomorrow. We're fine.
how long did it take you to get from boob to mouth on boob, from hand to boob to mouth
Well,
on boob?
the first day of shooting, the pilot, the very first day we're on set, we had a love scene where I'm sucking her tit, literally.
Yes,
That is
left
my very
one, I
like
remember.
first scene that I shot ever, and it was very intimate. And I remember my big thing with Dan and Ron when I talked to them right before I finally said I would do the show. Of course, I was going to do the show when they were offered it to me, but I was concerned, and I did want to have one conversation with them that my agent encouraged me to have, and that is that I wanted to make sure that the sex was for the women between themselves. It wasn't like two women getting it on for straight guys being like, blah, blah, blah,
Or like lesbian porn.
lesbian porn. I didn't want it to be that. It wasn't
Which I have never watched.
It wasn't for straight guys.
I wonder why.
Never watched
Interesting.
it.
I wonder
never would have
why.
guessed that.
Yeah. Surprise,
That is-
surprise. But I
is a
wanted it to be
huge
between the two women, and I wanted it to be intimate. And so that first day when we shot that, the producers, and I'm not talking out of school because everyone knows this, the producers
school's
went
out.
back and thanks, Scott.
You're welcome.
The producers went back and reshot some of Galen Howe's stuff in the bathroom stall because they were like, well, if that's the intimacy that we're going for, then it has to be that way across the board. And that's the standard. So I kind of feel like Taya and I, in a way, because of all of our trust and love for each other, we kind of set the standard of like intimacy and sexuality between two people and making sure that it wasn't just, phoned in or something, that it was really there. So
Genuine.
genuine, authentic. And so that was me.
I like your sex scenes.
Thank you.
And Scott.
I think we sat people
like-
the wrong way. I think
I
like
know.
my sex
I don't
scenes
know why.
too.
I don't know why Michelle's so far from this line. I mean, I've often said that it made me a better heterosexual. The sexual activity that poor Ted went through on the show, especially because, I often felt like I needed a hug afterwards because
know
they
what?
were. I got into the more
said that
difficult
today.
situations.
Now you
said
know what
I
it's
wanted
like to
to
be a
hug you
straight
so
one.
Right, the poor
bad.
guy. What's that?
Oh, well, I said now you know what it's like to be a
Well,
straight
no, exactly.
woman. Your
So
entire life
it's
having
made
men
me
come at
made me
you
very empathetic
aggressively.
to women to know what some of that things are. Yeah, I'm a little more sensitive.
Are you really though, Scott? 'Cause
such a
you're just a good
gentleman.
man. You've always
Thank
been a
you.
good man.
Thank you.
Well,
you are.
Scott and Michelle, we're gonna go the other way this time.
Uh-oh.
Serena
Aw.
from Germany has a really, 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 really good question
I
that
bet.
you have not answered, and she made sure that I make sure that you answer this question specifically. But you're gonna answer it
Serena,
also.
are you
All right.
But she
listening?
wants him.
All right.
Serena wants to know,
Yes.
what was your favorite scene from Queer as Folk, all the seasons, and you don't have to be included in the scene.
My favorite scene. Like the scene that kind of always gave me goosebumpies whenever I've seen it. There's something because it's a combination of performance and music and direction and all that kind of stuff. I think it's in that very first episode, the scene between Gail and Hal actually, where they're up on the roof. And Gail, Brian rather, pulls Michael up onto the ledge with him, and that song, proud, what have you done today to make yourself proud? That song comes up and all that. That to me, like, that in terms of a scene that I watched, and I think partially because we went about 7 episodes the first season, and they wouldn't show us a lick of film. We hadn't seen anything, and we didn't know what we were making. We didn't know what we were doing, and they finally, about 7 episodes into the show, we all gathered at Hal's apartment actually and watched. We got to see the first 3 episodes, so it was our first time seeing what it was we were creating, and that was one of those the moment I remember 2 things. I remember first seeing Gail on screen and going, oh my God, he's a rock star. Because we knew him in real life and he's just stupid Gail.
Yeah.
But it's like
all of a
to
sudden
see him on screen,
you're like, whoa, he's like
to
the
see what that character is and what he
Cary
created
Grant
there.
of gay men.
It was just his first entrance was just so exciting.
Yeah.
But then that scene too, just kind of I just started crying and made it made me feel proud like of what we were creating at that point in time. So that always has stood out to me. Because of the moment of watching it and the scene itself, I think.
Awesome.
So that's one for me.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Mine's simple because it was a similar moment. I'm not in the scene, but it was the New York premiere, and we're all sitting in the audience, and it was just such a great night. I never felt so like we were just so close, and we had just done that circle in the hotel room, and we held hands, and the producers gave us
And Peter cried.
the rings, and Peter cried, and it was just this beautiful moment before we went to the premiere and unleashed this, into the world and had no idea what was going to come our way. And I'm getting chills thinking about it. And in the middle of the premiere, there's that scene where, and we're in front of an audience of 1,000, there's that scene where Randy walks into the nightclub and he takes off his shirt. Do you know the scene?
Mhm.
And they play that beautiful song. What was that song? Oh,
Was it
God.
Let's Hear It for the Boy?
Yeah, I think it was like something like
Yeah.
that. And I had chills, and the entire audience started applauding.
Mhm,
And I'm
mhm.
getting chills right now. I mean, it was such a gorgeous scene in this rites of passage of this young man kind of
Yeah.
like grabbing hold of himself. And oh, I just love it. That was scene
I
that
was a
stands
young
out.
man grabbing hold.
You,
of
were you grabbing
myself.
hold of yourself? But for different reasons while I was watching the show, yes. Wow.
Yes.
We got a caller.
Wow. So much
We got a
sharing.
caller online, and we're going to take that caller. Hello, caller. How are you? Welcome to Greg's radio show. Do you want to talk to Scott and Michelle?
Is there a
Hello?
caller?
Hello.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Okay, I have
Hi.
a question that I've actually been wondering for a while.
Okay.
Oh, well, first let me tell you, my name is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, I actually overtweet Scott like every day. I'm the annoying Lisa.
Oh,
Aw.
I would not describe you that way. The exuberant Lisa.
The effervescent Lisa.
Yes.
Yeah. My question is, there were some scenes in a diner and where the food looked really good, and I kind of wondered if you guys actually got to eat that.
That's
Like,
a
was
great
it real?
question.
You know what we
That's
did?
really funny.
We had an amazing food. We had someone who was just our food stylist, Joanna, and she
Really good food.
was incredible. And they would
Yeah.
ask us. She was so good. She would ask us all the time. You know, when there was a diner scene or any
Awesome
kind of
French
food
fries.
scene.
Yeah.
What do you want to eat? What do you think? And more specifically, what do you think the character's eating in that scene? And it was all really delicious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's very, very talented.
Did you get tired of eating it though? Because if you would have to,
You have to
reshoot
be
a
careful,
scene-
yeah. And it's funny
Yeah.
because sometimes it depended what time of the day it was that you were filming a scene that you would kind of forget. And I think Peter was more guilty of this than anyone, I think, especially if there was bacon or donuts involved. And you would just start going while the scene was going, and you would kind of forget, and then, oh God, we
I
have to
gotta
do
do
this
this 20 more
20 more
times.
times and from different angles. But you could also, because the camera's moving around a bit, there's some stuff you could do to kind of fake it if the camera's behind you, but usually it was so good you just wanted to eat it.
Yeah.
And you just,
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
French fries, tuna melt.
But that's a
sticks out
great
to me.
question. I don't
Yeah.
think we've
That
ever been
is.
asked about the food before.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a-
original.
There's other eating people are asking about,
Well,
but not
thank
the
you,
food.
caller. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
we really
Lisa.
appreciate your question.
Thank you. Thanks for answering my question.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for being exuberant.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lisa. Bye.
Okay, so if you were stuck, this question is for Michelle.
Uh-huh.
If you were stuck on a desert island with one of your former castmates, who would it be?
Oh no! I'm gonna piss 7 people off. No, I'm just joking. Well, let's see. It depends on what I want to do. If I want to survive, if I want to,
Just say Baby Gus. I always say Baby Gus.
God, I don't know. A desert island. I mean, I would pick Scott. Totally pick
Are
Scott.
you picking Scott because he's here?
No, I am not that diplomatic.
Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, when I tell you I would pick Scott too, he's gorgeous. Okay.
No, I'll
need
tell
for
you
you to
why I
know
would
that
pick
you're his
Scott.
crush, though, on the show. He
I
loves
tell
you.
you why I would pick Scott because I think he has a really level head. He has a good sense of humor. So even if we were like gonna die, he'd still be making jokes. He'd laugh about it. And I think the level head might be like, oh, let's climb up a tree and grab a coconut and live off it for days. And,
God, I'm
and-
bored just hearing me.
and you what?
I'm bored just hearing your imitation of me.
Aw. Well, and also I'd have a chance with you.
Ah, there we go.
Tarzan and Jane.
If I'm on a desert island, I might as well get something.
There you go.
This is true. This is true.
This question is for Scott.
Yes.
Who would you say has the most bloopers?
Oh God. I mean, probably Peter Page.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean, it's a
pretty
tie
bloopery.
between him or me, but
Yeah, that's what I
but
was
Peter's pretty bloopery.
So he's
because he kind of he would just I mean
he would-
he had a
he
lot
would-
of tongue twister. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan and Ron, bless their souls, and their writing they loved writing alliterations.
Yeah.
And Peter, especially with the character and the energy with the character, I mean, he would just sometimes he would completely lose
Yeah.
where he was, and it was so much fun to watch him self-destruct.
Yeah.
I would just
Yeah.
get frustrated. I don't know. I just always would. I just
Yeah.
because I was being tortured so much.
Well, we were
How
always
about with
doing
you
those
girls?
Heavy, oh God,
You girls were always so heavy.
They always wrote us those heavy
I
lesbian
know.
fighting scenes. I was like, dude, can't we go to Hawaii and go on vacation and just fuck?
Yeah,
I mean,
we
must
just
it
be
always
happy?
be intense
Yes.
and like, I hate you. Oh, I'm so mad at you. Come here. Let's throw you down, and now we have to build it up to have. I mean, it's just like craziness constantly, and so I think we would get stuck in these modes where we'd have to shake it out, and we get funny once in a while. But doing those dramatic scenes, you don't feel bloopery. You just feel like let's just get through this.
You guys really didn't have like a lot of funny.
The second
moments.
season we had some funny stuff. I was hiding the vibrator in the little potted plant, and, so I mean they're definitely, and then I have that scene where a couple bitches in heat. That's what we are. I mean there was stuff there that was fun, but it was few and far between. There was a lot of I'm so angry at you.
There was stuff that was they were funny to us, just that poor Melanie never won a case.
Well, that's one thing.
So there was fun things. So we used to say, like, if you read a script, if anybody was hiring Melanie, you're just like, oh
boy, I gotta live. No,
like the Black Hammer.
Can I tell you, if we ever do a reunion film, it's going to be in my contract that I have won a major case. I'm a rock star lawyer.
Yes.
I fought, one of the, court challenges for marriage equality in a particular state, Pennsylvania, and I won. And there's something that will be written into my contract.
It should.
She wants to win a case.
Finally.
I want to win.
Finally.
Okay.
So embarrassing. I swear to God, they did that
Before
on
we
purpose.
go to a music break, we're going to ask one last question, and then we're going to come back after that musical break. Do you feel, to both of you guys, do you feel that your character is parallel with you at all?
Totally. Absolutely.
When she does her heavy lesbian voice.
No, I'm joking.
Why does the lesbian have to have a heavy voice?
don't know.
I didn't have this voice on the show. I had my voice.
She had her voice.
Did I talk like this?
You're a little.
You kind of had you were a lesbian.
I was a lesbian. Well, that's
Like
funny.
for a
What
little,
does that
for a
mean,
little
Greg?
gay boy watching a lesbian on television.
I was total lesbian.
You were. I mean, your name was Mel. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
My name's Mel and I ride a motorcycle.
Right.
I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, how do you start this?
No.
Yeah, but I was just kind of you were lesbian. It was
Fine.
pretty clear who was doing what.
Oh.
And then you
Yeah.
kind of shook it up, and Lindsay started doing something, and I was like, "Oh, I'm confused.
Because I got
Yeah.
pregnant and lost all my butchness. All
Yeah.
of a sudden. I'm so sorry about that
Maybe you guys were
storyline.
mad for like a whole season, and I was like, "Oh my
I was pregnant
God.
for 3 years. Let's face it.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with
Yeah.
my character.
Yeah. Poor baby.
No, I think that the only parallel, and then I'll let Scott speak because I feel like I'm being a hog.
No.
Hoggy.
No.
Sorry. It's when you know someone for a long time. The only parallels that I really grab onto is that I think she's on. I think there's an honesty there, and I think it gets her in trouble, and I feel exactly the same way.
Okay.
And I think there's also a certain. I mean, I'm ladylike, but there's a certain unladylikeness, a certain rebellious kind of iconoclastic, just sort of fuck the status quo vibe that she has that I relate to quite a bit, and that's why I loved her so very much and why I enjoyed playing her, because I think she cuts through it a lot. I get really sick of pretentious bullshit, and I just like that. I like it. I can't
You
help
must be a
it.
Taurus.
No, I'm a Scorpio.
Well, that works too.
I know, it totally works.
Yeah.
She will sting you. Yeah, for me, I mean, it's I mean, there's his good qualities. I would like to think are a big part of me, and his bad qualities I think are a part of me as well. But things I have hopefully worked on and tapped down. That the show I would have to dredge up quite a bit for the show. So it was difficult in that way, where it was like I said, I got the guy, I understood him. And I have a great affection for him in that way too. I think because of that, and it was often hard for me. I mean, I haven't watched the show in a while, but I remember back when we would watch it. It was always hard for me to watch the show because I did see him as separate from myself, and it was like, oh, I just hate seeing this guy go through this stuff over and over
Yeah.
again.
It's tough.
Yeah.
That was tough. That's
Yeah.
interesting. But don't you think Ted would? Now I'm interviewing Scott.
Yes.
Don't you think Ted
Yes,
would have
Michelle.
worked on his issues?
And he did.
stuff?
I mean, he certainly.
Yeah.
I mean,
But, like,
I was grateful
Cut
that he.
to 10 years later, do you think like now he would be much more advanced.
but probably, but
That's a good
things always
question.
pop back up. I mean, it's hard to
Well,
tell. I
that's
mean,
the
you know what I
thing.
mean? It's like the more we
Change
think
is
the
hard.
more we think we fix one thing, something else kind of comes along,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you're just deeper in something else. So
Yeah.
I don't think we ever stop. But
Yeah,
yeah, I certainly
true.
think, from where he got to the end of the show, especially, he had learned quite a bit about loving himself more. And
Yeah.
What was with the blonde hair? Like,
what was with it? It made me almost completely bald in real life.
Oh Lord.
They ended up because we ended up shooting episodes out of order because we had just started filming in high def that season,
that's
and so
right,
we had
yeah.
to change the whole sets, we had to change our makeup, all this kind of stuff, and they were worried that because we were experimenting with this stuff, we might mess up the season premiere, and they said, well, let's shoot the second episode first, so if we screwed up, it's
Work out the
it's
kinks.
okay.
Yeah.
So what that meant though was at the end of the second episode is when I went blonde. So we shot the whole second episode. They bleached my hair, and then we had to go back and shoot the first episode. So they had to dye my hair
then
back
strip it.
to its regular color,
Whoa.
and then a week later bleach it again to move on to the third episode. So my hair was just coming out in clumps. And so that's what was going on with the blonde hair.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a nightmare.
Well, we are going to go to a music break, and when we come back, we got more. Folks, we are back. We are back with Scott and Michelle from Queer as Folk. Yes!
Shake that thing. There you go.
Shake it, baby.
Shake that thing.
Shake it, shake it.
Get it, Greg.
Did you know that the show Queer as Folk would have such a lasting impression on people?
No. No, I felt like I remember getting up to Toronto and kind of having no idea about any stuff. Like I hadn't watched the British. I didn't know that my character died after 3 episodes in the
We knew
British. Like so many
Oh, wow.
things. So
Yeah.
I don't think and I don't think we understood even what it meant to our network, to Showtime at the time. I mean, we were really their Sopranos.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of us. I think the first time I kind of realized it was, we had a big meeting right before we were going to do our first big interview. Charles Kaiser, who's remained a friend of a lot of ours,
I love
had been
Charles.
given. He's a wonderful journalist
He wrote The
and
Gay
writer,
Metropolis
and he wrote a
in
book called The Gay
1968 in
Metropolis,
America.
which is an amazing book. And he was given exclusive rights to interview the cast for the first time for New York
For New York
Magazine.
Magazine, yeah.
And right before that interview, right before he was coming up, the executives from Showtime and our publicists and all these people kind of gathered us to say, okay, guys, it's going to begin now, because we were in Time, we were in Newsweek, we were, there was so much press,
everything, yeah.
and that's when it hit me. And
the historical
value
show.
of it. Yeah, I don't know why I just thought we were making this
I never
fun
thought
show, and
about
we were
that.
just, you're just so focused in the work sometimes
Yeah.
you don't think about it outside. And
I mean, I thought it was groundbreaking, but I didn't think that it was like groundbreaking. I just thought, wow, gay
Yeah.
characters, awesome, cool. But I didn't think like we are gonna break ground.
yeah,
I just thought the characters were really neat.
yeah.
And it was interesting because Stephen Lynch was just down here, our makeup artist, and we all had brunch, and he reminded me that we were sitting. It was we were doing makeup tests or something, and so there were like 8 of us sitting in the on the stage doing the makeup test, and we're just kind of copying a squat, sitting on the apple boxes and sitting around, kind of first week getting to know each other, first week of school. And I just looked around, and I guess apparently I forgot this, but he said, you looked around, you looked at everyone, and you said, I've got a really good feeling about this. And I don't even remember that because my long-term memory is horrible. But I just find that interesting that there was a good vibe. There was a really good vibe when we all got together the first time.
Yeah.
So where is your character now?
Are you
2014, yes. Where is your
2014.
character now, 2014?
Gosh.
Are you and Lindsay still together? How many more kids do you have?
Yeah.
And who had this baby?
Yeah. That's funny. I don't think, I don't know if they had any more kids. That's a tough one. And look, their relationship is always very up and down and all around. I mean, I do think that they are soulmates, and, they work through their stuff, and that's just what they have to learn in this lifetime. But it's hard to say where they are, because there was always so much underneath, so many undercurrents in that relationship, really strong for good and for bad. When they loved each other so much, but with great love brings up everything else that you have to deal with. Ain't that the truth, huh?
Amen.
Amen, sister. So it's hard to say, but I do think she won a huge court case, and I think she challenged the court in
wants that
Pennsylvania,
court case.
and she brought in gay marriage from
Showtime.
Pennsylvania,
Exactly. Yes.
and
What's
I
that
know
show-
that
the-
for
the
a fact.
case?
Yes.
She's
No,
telling
I think she got
She-
very. I'm sorry, I
No,
didn't mean to,
no.
but I do think that she did get very political. I think that she was always political, and I think as the country progressed and as it has changed so much in the last 10 years, I think she channeled her efforts, her legal efforts in that direction. Probably got involved
I
with
could
Land
see
the
that.
Legal,
Yeah.
and
I
could totally see her going in that direction and getting very involved and that becoming a huge part of her life.
Writers, you guys hear this?
Yeah.
We are dropping lugs right here.
Yes.
Lugs.
They will hear it.
Okay.
It'll be in the contract.
First, she has to get back from Canada too.
Scott, where is Teddy?
I think they moved back pretty quickly.
Ted, had nobody really knew this on the show, but Ted had always dreamed of being a circus clown.
I was going to say, and his hair's red.
And he dyes his hair red, and he joins Ringling Brothers, and he rides the goat that they kind of stapled a horn on his head and said it was a unicorn. He just rides that around the ring, and he has a very happy life. Honestly,
He's no longer working for
He's
Kinetic.
no.
He's a
Is that going to be in
clown.
your contract?
Yeah, it's gonna be my contract.
Okay. So, what is your true reaction to the finale of the show? What was your true reaction to it? Did you know about it? Did you know it was coming down? Or was it just like...
Did we know the show was
up?
ending, do you
Yes.
mean? Yeah, we knew
Yeah.
at the beginning of the season that it was going to be
Yeah.
the last, which was nice and good for the writers as well. We had originally been contracted for 6 years, but after the second season of the show, contracts were renegotiated, things like that, and Showtime kind of felt financially they didn't think they would be able to keep us going for 6 years given that. So they let us know, and they were always very good about that. I mean, we always knew
They're always in
before we went
communication.
away on break. You know,
Poncho
a lot-
was awesome.
Yeah, a lot of shows. Yeah, Poncho Mansfield
He's
is a
awesome.
god.
Greatest network exec ever.
But
Great man.
a lot of times you finish, you wrap a season on a show and you go away for the summer and you don't know if you're coming back or not, and it's
Yeah.
dreadful. And they always let us know before we left for whatever our break was. And so similarly, we knew the fifth season was going to be the last. So the writers, and it's look, this is Dan and Ron. They Dan Lippman and Ron Cowan, who are Cowlip, they created this thing, and they had a journey they wanted to take these characters on, and so they kind of knew where they wanted it to go in the end, and so it gave them and the writers the opportunity to do that. I understand that some fans are disappointed. I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of hard to please everybody, and but for Dan and Ron, that's how they wanted it to end, for at least for the Brian and Justin thing. And I don't quibble with them on that. Like I said, for Ted, I was happy that he found some happiness and peace at last, and kind of learned that lesson to kind of finally let go and love himself, and that's when things started happening for him again. And so personally, I was fine with it, but I get that people were disappointed with things here and there, and I thought there was something very bittersweet with Melanie and Lindsay having to leave. I mean, and I think there was
I
some
got very
reality to that.
concerned
Yeah,
about protecting my family.
yeah. I mean, it's like
Living.
it's hard to tie everything up with a pretty bow for everybody, and some life just isn't like that sometimes.
No.
And yeah.
No, I always thought that they went up to Canada and she didn't want to raise her children in the Bush years in America's Bush years, who would? And I think she went up to Canada and took a little break, and then I think in the end she realized how American she is, because Melanie truly is like that kind of crazy, rugged individual spirit. And I think for me, as much as I did love Canada, it's just such a beautiful country and so benevolent and wonderful and socialistic in many ways, but I missed America. I miss the edginess and the craziness and the people who are out there with their ambition on their sleeve and their
besides,
dreams.
she could
and
never win a case because there's never any crime in Canada.
Right, exactly.
Or that she can never lose a case.
Yeah.
So, real quick, we got 2 more quick questions before we leave and before we have to let you guys go back to your wonderful lives.
Oh, thank you.
Aw.
Is there any talk of a Queer as Folk movie or a show or something?
Or a
We
reunion
want it. We
other
want
than
it.
on
Yeah,
Greg's
we
radio
are,
show.
and we kind of written about this online a bit. We're in the process of exploring it. There are like legal things to figure out first before we can even think about a creative possibility, and we're in the middle of that now. But you know, we have all sat down and
had our first
talked,
meeting.
as many of us that were able to get together as could, and we have talked with, you know, some of the personnel behind the show as well, and now we're kind of like exploring the legal possibilities. So we're looking into it. We do understand that, you know, there's something in the zeitgeist now with everything that's going on in the country, with next year being the 10th anniversary of the show going off the air, the 15th anniversary of it starting to air, that it's kind of like if we're ever going to do it, this is the time. So we're looking into it. I can't, you know, there's no guarantees because there's, you know, things that, you know, may be out of our control with it, but we are looking into it, and, you know, I've asked everyone to kind of be patient, and we will certainly let everyone know once we know something, and it's so, you know, the bottom line is it's overwhelming to think that, you know, we've been off the air almost 10 years now, and that there's still this passion for the show. And
it's
you know,
really,
the
I'm getting
fans,
chills just thinking
really,
about
you know, it means so much to us all involved with the show. You know, that
the love and support that flows our way
out
for
there,
our characters.
and you know, and getting to meet people
who we
and,
loved so much.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's something, you know, and social media has kind of helped with that. You know, that when we were on the air, there like message boards were first existing. You know, the internet was kind of first starting back in 2000, and this kind of experience now of getting to interact with fans in such an immediate way and spread the word about things, it's really incredible, and it's constantly humbling. To me,
I think about it every day.
There.
Yeah, no,
We
it's
got
really
one more
beautiful.
question for you guys.
Yes.
Where do we find you? How do we get in contact with Michelle Clunie and
Just
Scott
the
Lowell?
same way you did. I think through Twitter. We're very accessible, and you know.
Twitter is a great way. I have a Facebook page as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have the scottlowell.com. I have a website.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bunch of ways out there to find us, get in touch with us, and but people seem to do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, there is a petition. There is one petition that I was really moved by. A petition a fan started for for a movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember who started it now. Sorry. But there's
check
one.
your,
how
check
we
your,
want
check
it
your
to
notes.
happen.
Did you write it
Don't
on your
make
notes?
fun of
Wait,
me.
we want to thank everybody that tuned in to listen to the show. We want to thank Michelle and Scott.
We
Thank
love
you.
you guys.
Thank you,
love
Miss
you
Law.
guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Gregory.
you
Thank
so
you.
much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show.
It was
And
fun.
you heard it here. That's how you get in contact with those two. Okay?
Yes.
And you can get in contact with us on Facebook at Greg Show and Miss La.
Miss La, who's going to start up
Or
a
you
Twitter
can go to-
page.
yes,
Just
she
for
is.
Michelle.
Finally.
And I will
And
be
you
your
can-
first follower.
You can contact me on Twitter at TRYCROS. That's Tricross.
What does that mean?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
And next week we got Redman, legendary hip hop rapper. So we'll see you, and we love you so much, and thank you so much, people. Thank you so much.
We love you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Cause la she say so. Party, party. Greg's radio show. Get ready to go. Cause la she say so.